And hello again. Today, this wonderful day, April 12th, 2023, this is recording 507, entitled, No Longer Held Captive. No longer held captive. What a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere it would be to just constantly walk free of everything, not giving thought to any limiting value. And I hate to say value because if nothing is limiting anything, it has no value. So a lot of times we use the words incorrectly because Jesus said, and nothing shall by any means harm you, no longer held captive. He came to let us know that we're of a species that is entitled to walk freely in creation, as we call it. And every day we witness some form of captivity, whether it be physical, mental, moral, financial, and we wonder, can I be set free? Why am I given 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years, and all I have to say about it is I lived a long life, but that scripture that says, and I will, with long life will I satisfy. And satisfaction is not just simply to get to a certain age, 70 and 80 if we're fortunate enough or God smiles upon us. It says, I will satisfy. And I know what satisfaction is in the material world when something is accomplished and I'm satisfied. And it says, I will satisfy him with long life. And at 100 years old, he will be as a babe. And we know how babies enjoy life. We have to be able to understand what's being said within or underneath words or phrases. And yet, today, if you just choose right now to just let your thoughts go, it will immediately go to the world scene that is always depicting some limiting value out there. Somewhere, rarely. And one thing that I really notice is at the end of, I think that girl's name is Laurel O'Donnell or something. I always, when I'm turning the TV or getting on my station, she's going off, I think, around 7 o'clock when Wheel of Fortune comes on. And she always shows about a minute of some uplifting something, whereas she is given all, for 30 minutes, she is given all of this whoa, and then she gives that. What if it was flipped around to where, we could hear uplifting things all day that give hope? Now the question is, if we are created by a creator that has no limits upon him, has given all things to his creation, the question then that we should ask is, can a man walk freely amongst his fellow man and yet be bound, held captive? Just what is this force that deters happiness when luxury and plenty are witnessed all about? The trees displaying their abundance of fruitage, the waters full of fish, and yet a man walks the earth without, unable to enjoy the greatness all around them, and really wondering constantly, why me? with so much everywhere, and yet most live out mere existence, never really finding and enjoying the abundances that fill the earth and fill their visions daily. It's almost like being tempted or tested or tantalized all day long. We see all this stuff out there. Not that we want everything, but you see things out there and immediately comes the question, how can, and the answer jumps in, probably not. Can't do this, can't do that. And yet, once again, we've been created by something that has no limits and even came and testified before mankind. This is the life you should be living. And if you will dedicate yourself solely to me, you will no longer be held captive. If we're no longer held captive, then what is freedom? What is that freedom that seems to elude us? Constantly challenged to live the best life available, a man will set out to achieve that life by any means possible. That's why our prisons are filled with a lot of men that would never have even thought to commit the crimes that they did had they recognized the freedom that truly dwelt within them. You see, the thought comes to have, and then by looking at our means, we immediately take the low road. Some men are not able to do so. Let's see, what's the word I want? In a patient waiting or patient living, they set out and come up with avenues to achieve this, hoping that they won't get caught. And yet there's a spiritual law that says you will get caught. You may not get caught exactly when you do it, but you will get caught. Why? Because you're breaking spiritual law. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not commit murder. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Wow. And even after doing all these things to achieve what they think would be happiness, some people have to hide everything that they achieve. They got to hide it, so you still can't enjoy it. Can you imagine the people who are owning very, very valuable objects right now, but they can't let anybody know because they were stolen? What enjoyment is it of having something that the world would love to partake of, to even look at, and you have to sit in your little room yourself and say, I got this, and I got that, and there's no enjoyment, and you want to tell somebody. So the underside is many times, most times, the side effects of gaining worldly success is worse than achieving success. What do I mean? Look at men and women who have lost the love of their families, have lost the ability to move around in the world freely because of their success, because of their dedication to work all the time or some way of achieving. And I was just thinking yesterday about how some people have come up with businesses, and the business was spawned because someone saw a need. They saw a need that would actually help humanity. And then they went about setting this thing up as a business, and it turned into constantly looking at P&L. And you stop looking at the people, and you're constantly looking at how can my business grow? How can my business grow? When that idea came from the Creator. What? Share. And I will make sure that you are compensated. Just what is the invisible incarcerator that seems to be just a step ahead of one's happiness? Who is this one thing? Because when you look around, there's not a policeman standing beside you all day making sure you aren't happy. There's not a judge. There's not a jury. There's not something standing there to make sure you see it, and yet you do, don't you? There's this incarcerator out there that's holding you hostage. Unable to enjoy life because there's always the next hindrance. I think you know what I mean there. As soon as you get something, you immediately start asking what? What next? What's next? Getting ready. The next obstacle. Just what or who is this ever-present, alienating foe? You ready? It is man's belief or lack of that binds him to being a captive. I'll say that again. Out of all of this message that you get, this statement, it is your belief, my belief, or my lack of correct belief that holds me captive. That's the invisible incarcerator. What one believes is the outpicturing of his success or failure. What price would humanity pay if they knew this secret was held in a vault somewhere and they knew where the vault was? Would they be willing to break through, to steal, to kill, to get a hold of that if they knew it? And yet, you can go and tell them one by one, and they would look at you like, come on, man. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. And you say, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do, because the thing that's bothering you doesn't bother me. Why is that? Or the thing that's bothering me doesn't bother you. It's your belief. What you believe is outpictured. And it determines, I hope you're hearing what I'm saying, because at some point in time, I have got to come to the place where I see beyond the limit. How can I see beyond the limit when the limit is staring me in the face? What did Jesus say? Seek ye first the kingdom. And the kingdom is where? Within. That's beyond the limit. Why? Because the kingdom was established first. You have to understand, the rules and regulations were established first. The things we see out here are the outpicturing of either someone correctly recognizing the rules or incorrectly recognizing the rules. Hard it may be to accept and or to believe, but man is his own captor or deliverer. He must be. How can there be a provider of so much and a withholder at the same time? How can the God who created in abundance, withhold? What do I mean by that? Well, some have and some don't. And yet we were told that all, well, let me just quote the scripture. Son, all that is mine is thine. The earth and all that is within it is the Lord's. Yet some appear to have, and most end up desiring. So we must come to a conclusion that things don't make you happy. Now, that may be hard to accept, but that's what we're looking at. We look at the man that has the most valuables, and we think he's the happiest because he can seem to move throughout the world at his leisure. So we think if we had those things, we would be happy. And Jesus is telling us, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. For all these things, who seeks in the world? The Gentiles. Isn't that what he said? He said those things that you think will make you happy, the Gentiles seek every day. And that word Gentile is not a non-Jew. The word Gentile is a non-believer. That's all it is. And he's living from a materialistic train of thought. So he seeks every day to acquire the things that he thinks are going to make. But every day he has to seek a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And Jesus said, but once you have found the kingdom within you, what did he say about those things? That they would be automatically added. Oh, my goodness. Can it be that a man, a woman, can see beyond limits? You see, it's not seeing beyond limits. It's seeing no limit. And the only way to see no limit is to look at that which is limitless. Keep your mind stayed. Oh, Lord, Rev, come on, man. You realize how hard that is? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I realize how hard it appears to be. But he says, judge not by the appearance. So if I'm judging, if I'm looking at how hard it is, I'm doing exactly what he told me not to do. Oh, wow. Keep your mind stayed on thee, and he will keep what? Perfect peace. So I have got to look at the limitless, even when that check or that refund or that you were pulled by a lucky so-and-so and here's X amount of dollars. I got to look at that the same way because that's an appearance. And it is going to cause me to think that happiness comes from materialism. Yep. The answer is to be found within the tree. Within the tree. What is within the tree? There's an invisible life force living limitless within the tree. And if I am the tree, Jesus came and told me, within you is a root, a vine that expresses its abundance through the visible, you, the branch. As the scripture states in both Old and New Testaments, it is called the word that is nigh thee, even in thy mouth. I think people will be shocked to find that scripture is also found in the Old Testament. It's easy to find it in the New, but very few people realize that scripture was first quoted in the Old Testament. And the word is nigh thee. The word what? The word by which all things live limitlessly. The answer then is with man to correct his beliefs so that he should enjoy the abundance of life to which he is entitled. Entitled. We look at the man in the street, and he is constantly begging, fighting, manipulating, doing all kinds of things to do what? To acquire the abundance that he knows he deserves. And yet, we're told that answer is within it and within you. And when you find it, it will do what? Set you free. No longer held captive. Herein we must pause and give attention to the fact that the world he seeks abundance in is an invisible world. No one sees it but him. Only seen within, and yet more real than that he seems to outwardly experience. Can you imagine now walking in a world where you are the only one that sees the invisible abundance, and you are sincerely, constantly ignoring all that's around you, even the good, the brand new cars, taxes being lowered, being able to just look past all of that because you see a law. You see a law working in you that says, fret not. Don't even be concerned. Why? You keep looking at this law, and the things that will satisfy you will be made evident as your life. Can it be that he is to experience inner joy, peace, that his outer expression reveal his deliverance? After all, the Master did describe a kingdom within every person by which they can enjoy the fullness of life. Not a place of acquiring the things that seem to bring so much pleasure and enjoyment to the peoples of the world, but a meeting of that which is behind the existence of all things. Through much trial and tribulation do we enter this kingdom of knowing God aright. But with persistent contemplation of the fact that God does exist and is a rewarder to all that seek with sincerity, the gates must swing open. The gates must swing open to reveal the splendor of achieving the gift of all. Remember Jesus at the well? He says, the water that you draw, you will thirst again. But if you understood the gift of God, he would give you waters that by which you drink, you would never thirst again. What is it going to take for us to actually accept the fact that there is a world that by which we can live in while we yet walk amongst these people, and we, taking note of that world, not only are benefiting ourselves, but we are also benefiting, just by knowing this law, we're benefiting everybody we pass. They may not know why they stopped hurting when you walk by. They may not know why the so-and-so decided to just give them this instead of charging it for them. They may not know why good things just happen to happen because you walk by. And the scripture says, and you will never cause attention to yourself. So, yeah, that was because of me. I was out there. You'll never do it. Conviction of the soul. This is that which sets all captives free. I will contemplate the reality of the existence of God until it is revealed to me that according to my beliefs, be it measured unto me. I just have to stop right here and just say that God, Jesus, they're amazing. Of all the stuff that's going on in this world, they took time to have somebody write down on pieces of paper how to get through this. When we ask the question, when we ask, why me? Why can't I? What did somebody always say? Start going to church, didn't it? Pointing us in the right direction, but we went and somebody grabbed us and incarcerated us. But the bottom line is, if we were to take that book and sit down and read it for ourselves and begin to say, what's in here? What's in here that I'm missing? What's in here that I should know? The Spirit would have to reveal itself. And then they made the mistake. What did they do? Went back to the pastor and started telling him what they saw, and he immediately put them back in jail. Go to jail. Go directly to jail. Do not collect $200, right? But if they had just held that within themselves, they would have begun to see things come into their world, because they are now looking into the perfect law of liberty. And what does the scripture say about where the Spirit of the Lord is? Liberty. No man taketh away the liberty seen in the heart. Right here, one must note what? The revelation that the contemplation of the reality of God must reveal to me according to my belief, my sincere belief. I must judge myself, not other people. I must judge myself that it is my belief or lack thereof that has held me captive. It is now understood that the only deliverer of man is man himself. By your words are you justified, and by your words are you condemned. The understanding of the spiritual nature of mankind will reveal the secret of the universe. Because I understand, I am no longer held captive. God bless.